Good evening. Welcome to Cinema Hits and Misses. I'm Dawn.
I'm Ryan.
And I am John.
You tune into WMPG 90.9 and WMPG.org.
And if you want to call in, our number is 780-4909. That's 780-4909.
And we've got, two films that we're going to fully review. One that we're going to have featured, and then talk about a little bit of festival time.
Yeah.
So, you want to start off with Split?
Yes.
All right, so Split is a new film by M. Night Shyamalan. It opens with a birthday party that's winding down. There's one attendee, Casey, that's been invited as an inclusionary measure, not for the fact that she's a friend. In fact, Claire, the birthday girl, while trying to act big-hearted, admits to her dad that Casey just doesn't fit in. When Casey's ride home is a no-show, Claire's dad insists that they take her home. While Claire and her bestie, Marcia, hop into the back seat and become ensconced into their own social media worlds, Casey sits in the passenger seat looking around distractedly. When the driver's seat opens, Casey becomes aware that it's not Claire's dad. It's a bespectacled man who then proceeds to drug Claire and Marcia, and then Casey. The three young women awaken in an enclosed suite, kind of like a bedroom cage. The man that drugged them then enters the room. But is it the same man? As the visits progress, Casey begins to notice that this one male appears to have something going on. Escape is a top of the mind for Claire and Marcia, but despite their peer pressing, Casey's hesitant. Through flashbacks, we learn that she's been exposed to things far beyond her fellow captives and may be more aware of the danger that they may be in. Guys,
oh, wow, that was
great.
great. That was a good summary. Oh, I really enjoyed this movie. It was definitely a return to form for M. Night Shyamalan from his past movies, happening in the village. That it was much better. It was a small, independent thriller, like Sixth Sense. There was a lot of shots that remind me of the Sixth Sense that I thought was like, oh, cool. This is like back to what you do best.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was, a well-made film. Obviously with Shyamalan, recently, there's always been like this concern. You're like, I don't know. And granted, I heard The Visit was all right. I haven't seen it myself. Yeah. But this definitely seems to be returned to form for him, and I think it helps with, it was shot well, decent writing, great performances.
Still derivative. I mean, there's a little exploitive with the three young females in their various stages of undress.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, and of course, the reason for some of the trauma. Mm-hmm. But the suspense here.
Yes.
And let's face it, James McAvoy carries these. We're not giving away anything saying it's multiple.
Yeah, it's in on the poster and in the trailer. It does state that he has dissociative identity disorder. DID. And in the movie, he has 23 personalities, and we get a view of 9 of them. And there are scenes most at the beginning. You see the identities separately. So, as his acting, he can go in and out. But then, as the film progresses, you see him in front of the camera going through like 3 of them, or even like 4, and how he is able to change his voice, his posture, and his facial expressions to like distinct every single one that you're like, oh, this is a different person, is amazing.
Well, and just the nuances of one of the personalities inspiring other personalities and the factions.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how they presented that idea. I thought it was a well shot film. It was interesting. A lot of the close-ups were all like this claustrophobic, very tight on the frame, and also they were all like in the center of the frame. That's something you don't really see often. When like a standardized shot, most of the time it's either like a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, depending on like who's talking. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting. Like, oh, you don't see that often. I'm like, this is interesting. And I think that like claustrophobic nature fits because it's in this like basement-like area, so I think it fits that well.
The before the movie came out, I heard that the cinematographer is the same cinematographer who did It Follows, which I really enjoyed. Yep. And I just heard like interviews like with M. Night. He's just like, yeah, I saw the movie. I'm like, I want him like before like he does any other movie, and he definitely it was good that he had him because there's long corridor shots that just build the tension, and yeah.
You know, besides James McAvoy, the casting of Anya Taylor-Joy as Casey.
Oh,
it's amazing to see this, but also just her physical appearance, her iris is almost as dark as her pupil, so it kind of has that alien appearance.
Yeah.
And, you know, so when you have that close up of her, whether she's reacting or getting ready to do something, it just added to the creepiness for me.
Yeah, she's been doing great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what she does next.
Because John and I saw her in The Witch last year, and that she's definitely very good at horror movies, and not just like the average horror movies, ones that take the time for like character, like The Witch, or we didn't get to see Morgan.
Yeah,
but you said that she was good.
What people were saying is that Anya Taylor-Joy was probably the best part about Morgan.
And this was I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in here to Cinema Hits and Misses, this is Dawn with Ryan and John. We're talking about Split. We're going to be moving on to 20th Century Women and Silence and a little bit of the Short Film Festival. If you want to give us a call, we're here till 8:30 at 780-4909. That's 780-4909. Also interesting to see Betty Buckley back on the screen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Some of the not so kind comments of the movie is that M. Night gave her the shot that The Happening took out against her.
Oh.
It's kind of like a redemptive role because she was really interesting as the psychologist here.
Yeah, it was really what I thought was interesting was that you don't see much of her in the trailer, and I would say 15 or 20 minutes in, we cut to her and we get to see more of her story. Because seeing in the trailer, okay, so they're just gonna be trapped in this thing. Now they're gonna get out. Oh, so there's this other storyline that's going on, and then when they converge, it's a really well done. When she tries to confront Kevin. I guess Kevin is the main name. All the personalities have different names. And the other thing, it is mentioned kind of in the trailer, is this other personality that's coming out. And I won't give too much away, but that when this personality makes its introduction, James McAvoy is terrifying. He's very some of his personalities are uncomfortable, you're on edge, but this one's just terrifying, and how much physicality he went through for that character was really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And this, of course, we're dodging aspects of the film because we don't want to give spoilers. It'd be very easy to give some spoilers here,
yes.
But so you basically have when M. Night takes a protagonist, at times it's usually someone who has some kind of baggage coming in here, and certainly with the Casey character, there is some. Part of me was, why'd you choose this one? Because this is it's questionable, but he made it work.
Yep.
So, and there are people who have experienced what she's experienced.
Yep.
So, it's something that happened.
Yeah, and then it comes to light also at the end, even though as we're watching it, we understand it, but then it comes to light for the other characters. Without spoiling anything, I will say, if you're a fan of M. Night Shyamalan's early movies, definitely go see this movie. And if you're hesitant about because of his past movies, just go see this movie. It is definitely a much better film than his. I didn't get to see The Visit, but I mean, Happening and Last Airbender, it is so much better.
And my worst for him was After Earth.
Oh wow,
the Smith Squared debacle. That was my worst film for whatever year that was.
I've seen enough clips to get the idea.
Yeah. So it's not his best work.
No.
But if you like elements of his best work, this will be, I think, satisfying for people. Last year's Visit was it was leading him back into this kind of psychological horror, and kind of leading away of those movies that weren't so successful.
Yeah, he definitely he worked with Blumhouse, which has done a great number of indie horror movies, and sticking with them is definitely a good choice.
So I give a solid B seat, a matinee kind of thing for me.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
if you don't want to get spoiled out, like just go see it. If you have any inclination to see it as fast as you can, because the spoilers will just be all over the internet.
Yeah, and definitely stay past the initial credits.
Yes.
Easter egg. Yes. So Ryan.
Yes.
How about some 20th century women?
Okay. Dorothea, a single mother trying to raise her son William in 1979 Santa Barbara, has trouble connecting with him. So she asks the help of William's friend Julie and a tenant Abby to help raise him. Together with the help of their other tenant William, the group learns the hardships that different generations have while helping raise William. The movie is directed and written by Mark Mills, who also wrote and directed Beginners.
Which we liked.
Yes, we did. And I did like this one as well. So what do you guys think?
I liked it. The more I thought about it, the more I've appreciated it more and more. And I absolutely agree with the nomination for his original screenplay.
Yep.
Screenplay. So I thought they did it. I thought Mike Mills did a great job fleshing out these characters. And it seems like he had like an understanding of what it was like growing up with a mother who's much older. Because in the film, the mom has the kid when she's 40, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so there's like this huge generation gap. And even like every time when she does something, I guess I wouldn't say odd, but something that just seems out of touch. The kid always says, "Oh, well, she was born in the Depression." Every time,
Yeah.
It's like that's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting though. It's about just trying to connect and seeking happiness. I thought it exceeded at that really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're talking about a span of generations, and you're talking about an era, of course, before all the modern technologies.
Oh, yeah.
So back when there were mixtapes and people did things outdoors, but still that sense of boredom, and that was one of the voiceovers. Sometimes voiceovers can be annoying, but I thought it was very interesting that what Mills did here, because he had the characters do their own voiceovers, but then he also switched it up.
Yeah.
So that Dorothea's voiceover was talking about her son, Jamie, and Jamie's was talking about somebody else. So I thought that was a good way to flesh out these characters. And the secondary characters had some rich backstory, which I appreciated.
Yeah. Like William, played by Billy Crudup. I really liked him. He was definitely, you get backstory, it's cool. You get backstory about how he was in like a commune and then he left it, but he still has that type of hippie way about him. And like there's some scenes that he's just like, he's trying to connect, but he just like fails, and then it just is hilarious. There's one dinner scene in particular that that was just very well done.
Yeah, and you get the vision of, especially, I mean, the women, of course, played by Annette Bening, Elle Fanning, and Greta Gerwig, as these three someone in her 50s, someone in her mid to late 20s, and then a teenager.
Yeah.
But it's kind of Jamie's perspective of
everything. Yeah, and it's cool because it's in 1979, and we have the kind of the women's movement and feminism, and it's cool to see as they're raising him, they're trying to figure out, because since there's no dad and he doesn't really connect with William, they're trying to figure out a good way to raise a son. So they decide to have him read all these feminism books, which is good. But then his mom realizes this is a lot for a 15-year-old to take in, and then you see how what he's learning doesn't really fit in with the guys his own age at all.
Well, yeah, because when you're calling BS on a story that one of your peers is telling,
you don't say that.
So I mean, it was a nice perspective of that, and of course, what is this? The footage that was woven in here, archival footage, and of course, the music.
Oh, the music was great. We get music from Talking Heads, David Bowie, Black Flag, I got the soundtrack before, like, then there's like also jazz in it too because of Annette Bedding's character's backstory. So like every character kind of brings their own type of music to the forefront, and you get to see like the disagreements between Talking Heads and Black Flag, which John and I had a discussion in the car the ride home.
And even the score was mostly just like the synth that would be playing throughout, which was interesting to hear. And then also just mentioning a couple things about technical things. They did some things with like fast forwarding and this coloration. For a moment, I'm like, is this kid on like an LSD high when that happened? Or some kind of drug high? Because I'm like, we're just seeing colors now for some reason. But no, it's something that's like constant whenever they're driving. Just to make it a little bit more appealing than just they're driving. Or even like color trails. There's like one shot I remember.
Yeah, they kind of like you would have with some film, how if it was kind of going back and forth a little bit, there's that.
So I thought that was interesting. It added like a little bit more, visual
interlacing.
Yeah.
Just I guess make it a bit more popping with the color.
Yeah. And also there was other times that they sped up that was kind of interesting where Elle Fanning's character, who did a marvelous job. I love her work. I've seen her in like a bunch of movies, and like she would leave the house and they kind of speed it up. That I thought that was cool.
Yeah, so, that's one of the things I noted down here, that the camera would move back and forth depending on, if it's retreating into memory or, speeding ahead to the present day. So, we all saw that in our own ways. And that's what's kind of fun about discovering this. It's a slightly different way of storytelling. And, of course, as is kind of becoming the fashion, don't expect a clear-cut beginning and end of this.
We're just in this moment of these characters' lives, and there are parts that we figure out what happens to these characters later on when they say their narration, so you kind of don't need like the clear cut ending. It's just like we're enjoying this. It is very positive. It's not like a depressing ending that's just sitting there like, oh, okay. This one's like very feel good at the end. It's what I also it's a coming of age movie for multiple generations, which I thought was cool too, that like you see all these people grow, even though normally when you do it, it's usually like a teenager, so you have
or just like one or two characters. But I feel like they all grew in some way because they're all like interconnecting with each other's lives, because they all, or most of them, live in the same place, though Julie or Elle Fanning's character kind of just sleeps there anyways.
Yeah, and also the social commentary, of course, where at the time you could smoke anywhere. And for the Greta Gerwig character, whose mom took a fertility drug and later found out the results of taking that on her daughter, by her daughter. So you have those slight awareness making moments that I thought were handled very well.
Even the when the news about the medical news about not smoking like can cause cancer, that also is brought up as well. So
anything else but 20th Century Women?
No, but it it's currently in theaters. I believe it's at the Nick for this coming week. I know that. And I don't know about Clark's Pond, but that was the location we saw it at. But if you're looking for something different, I think you should check it out.
And that's something that we say to check out as I'm stumbling across my words. 20th Century Woman. We're wrapping up with that one. We saw Split, and you've tuned in to Cinema Hits and Misses. We're here, John, Ryan, and John, till 8:30. If you want to give us a call, we're live at 780-4909. That's 780-4909, because we now have Silence that we're going to talk about.
Yes, we're going to talk about Silence just a little bit. So it's based on the 1966 novel, the same name. Silence tells a story of two Jesuit priests named Father Garupe and Father Rodriguez in the 17th century, traveling from Portugal to Japan to find their mentor, Father Ferreira. It is a time in Japan where there is persecution for Christians, and inquisitors force people to surrender their faith in order to survive. When Father Rodriguez and Father Garupe arrive in Japan, they find those who still practice the faith in secrecy, but they also learn the brutality that the persecution brings. And this is a Martin Scorsese film. You may not notice that, but until you see the end credits. But stars Liam Neeson, Adam Driver, Andrew Garfield, and I'm going to butcher these names, I'm sorry. Issei Ogata, Tadanobu Asana, and Yusuke Kubozuka. I believe that's how you say his name. I can't say with certainty, but It's certified fresh, 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 71% of audiences liked it. So I went last night to the 9:10 screening in Westbrook because it was the only screening besides the one at the Nick. Whoever is the distributor has done a horrible job with this, but I feel like they knew, like, it's a hard sell. You could just say, "Oh, well, Scorsese has a brand and people will follow him," but this is like a faith-based film, and it's nearly 3 hours, so I could see why they're kind of like holding back. But at the same time, without any attention, how do you get Oscar noms? But I guess not every film was made to, like, we need to get the Oscar. I absolutely agree with the cinematography nomination. A lot of the shots were very beautiful. The wide shots, especially, were very layered and detailed and intricate. And what's interesting is, for the entire movie is pretty much silent in terms of music. There is no musical score, except for like a few hymns that get sung like throughout. But that only happens maybe like 3 times. Otherwise, there is no music. And that kind of shocked me because I'm like, oh, this is where we're going to get... Oh.
Which is weird because Martin Scorsese is known for, like, putting music in his movies. Like from The Departed or Goodfellas. It's like you can't wait to see what his soundtrack is. But I mean, with the tone of the movie, I can see
I think
why.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought all the performances were great. And I think Andrew Garfield was nominated for the wrong film, frankly.
So Hacksaw Ridge, no, but Silence, yes.
I mean, either, like, they're both great in their own right, but I think Silence is really Andrew Garfield's movie. Even though Adam Driver and Liam Neeson are in it, they aren't in it as long as Garfield, and he has to, like, hold the 2 hours and 41 minutes, I believe, of length, and he does. Father Rodriguez, his character, is a man of faith, but he goes through like a lot of trials, and he goes through a lot of doubt, but he has moments of just insanity, I guess. He just kind of loses it. He's like, I don't even know anymore. So I thought he was a really interesting character to watch, throughout the film. In the ways that the Japanese were doing torture on these secret Christians to surrender their faith was just brutal at some points.
But somewhat reminiscent in other eras.
Yes.
Yeah. But I like the film. I don't love it. There's a couple things I could really feel the runtime. I feel like there's a point, like, now that I know it's a book, like, where if I'm like, this is where it could have ended, and then it kept going, and then it kept going. So I think it just felt a little bit too long, particularly in the last act. And then really, it's interesting. So like I said, there's no musical score, but the audio, and this is something I pick up a lot because I'm very critical of these things, was all over the place, frankly. There would be, like, when two people would be having a conversation, it felt like, one person had, like, a volume that was, like, this far away, and then another one felt like they were, like, talking right into a mic. A lot of audio dialogue replacement. And it was jarring to me, but there's, like, one thing in particular where, and granted, that must have been a hard thing to shoot and to record.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like I could hear this ringing from when they must have cranked up the volume so that they could get the guy's voice. And I'm just like, how did this get through?
Mm-hmm.
And this happened a lot, this like little popping thing where the inconsistent levels of dialogue. So
Yeah.
That's weird for Scorsese movie.
I know.
Yeah.
It was odd.
He's,
but
he's so used to, he's so used to
Perfection.
the perfection in was it Shoemaker who does his editing.
Yeah.
It's how would that get by her?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, maybe it was just like they get to the point they're just like, we got. Maybe that's also why it's not getting a super wide release. That even though it's Martin Scorsese, the studio is just like, this isn't your best one, and just because of the material and like the length, they're like, we're only gonna show to like I don't know what the budget was. So if the budget was really high, then they kind of definitely messed up. But if it was quote unquote smaller budget Scorsese movie, then maybe, because it was also his passion project, right? So he'd wanted to make it, so that's really weird then.
Yeah.
And, and given the distribution, like you were saying, John, given the times that was showing me, this is one I probably would have seen just because I wanted to see the cinematography and see what he brought, and because it wasn't a lot about it. But, quite frankly, going out for a 3-hour movie at 9 o'clock at night, Okay, I'm not that old, but still, it's just
I'm
like,
not gonna do.
after a day of work,
I didn't do it. John did.
It's not going to matter because it's going to be gone by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So unless you go to the Railroad Square Cinema on February 3rd, I believe, in Waterville, I think is the only other time you can see it.
Holy cow!
Yeah. So I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought, great performances, great direction, beautifully shot. It's really just some technical things that kind of were jarring to me. Some people might not notice it, but for those who pay attention a lot to filmmaking, I think it will pop out. So I definitely think it's worth a watch. It kind of falls under this category where I don't think I'd watch it again, mostly just because of length and other factors. So
with our short bit of time, what have you guys got about the Short Film Festival?
Oh, that was a great segue. Wow. So John and I and our friend Aaron, who's sometimes on the show, we went to the Maine Short Film Festival this weekend at the Space Gallery, where they had a bunch of different shorts that are either made, produced, or had to do with Maine. And yeah, we saw a lot of good ones. One of the ones I enjoyed was a short film called Silence, which was a different tone made by Maine native Corey Norman, who Don and I both know. That was a very funny horror short.
Yay, Bonfire Films.
Yes. Another one for me was the movie Guided, which was a documentary about a man who lives up in not northern Maine, but maybe like central Maine, out in the woods, where he and his wife live off the grid, but also guide not tourists, but people who are interested in the outdoors, and teaches them how to live from the land. And it was a very well done doc.
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of great documentaries. There was another one about a man with Parkinson's on Cranberry Island, where running for him like helps alleviate the symptoms in some shape or form. And it's a very inspirational story. The one that we saw at MIF, called The Long Haul, which is about it's this woman who's also a lobsterman, and talks about that, like working in that environment. It's well shot. I still appreciate that very long shot where she's like putting the bait on, and you can see the cages just going back. I'm like, that is sweet.
Yeah.
I like that shot. Long shots always seem to impress me.
We also saw there's some art films that were done really well. Some shorts that were like 30 seconds, but there was one where it's a stop motion film of a bunch of different pictures and words on a piece of roll of toilet paper, and just kept on rolling up and down, and it would sound like a typewriter, and there'd be certain images that would have it'd be a full image of people dancing, but they would cut it so there was 3 cuts of it, and every time they'd land on it, you would hear the crowd of them dancing, then cut back to it going down. So I thought that was a really cool artsy one.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I appreciate is that there was just a lot of variety, amongst the genres. So it was definitely worth seeing.
Is this a package that's going to be playing around the state?
Yep. They'll be. I don't have the dates, which I should have had the dates. They started in earlier, but it'll be all around the state. So I'm guessing probably the railroad will have it. A large. All of the smaller theaters or small galleries, because we started the space.
Frontier.
Yeah, Frontier probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone is interested in seeing Maine shorts about Maine or produced in Maine, I would definitely highly recommend checking out seeing some local talent.
Well, it's good to hear that. Of course, our hometown, our home state advantage here. So that is a show for 8:30.
Yeah, wow.
We're here. It's next week we have Jackie and the founder.
Yep.
And in the meantime, Justine is here. We're glad to be back live.
Yep.
We want to thank everyone who called in for the Homeless Marathon last week. And, stay tuned, because Between the Notes is coming up to you.